Hey, welcome back to the North Florida Sports Network. Happy Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. We're picking games against the spread. What we do here on Wednesdays, we're going to go over the rankings. Nothing changed in the top four. We're going to talk about a couple of scenarios that might play out. Then we're going to pick games. It's going to be a great show. If you haven't done so, you need to download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. The podcast is available everywhere. You can tweet the show. It used to be Twitter, now it's X. It's at the NFLSN. If you have a question for the show, please email me, Austin at the NFLSN.com. We're going to go over the rankings first, so keep it locked. Let's get started. All right, the rankings were out. Jimmy Reno's with me.
No change.
No change. He did start talking about scenarios where FSU gets left out, of course. But, you remember back 10 years ago when Florida State was the defending national champions and they were
more importantly
undefeated.
More importantly than defending national champions, they were preseason number one.
Mm-hmm.
They started the season number one and went, a few weeks into the season as number one.
Right.
And then went the entire regular season undefeated, but still finished behind two teams that had a loss.
Yeah.
What I maintain is that, you've never seen that before in college football, and you're not going to see it again. So anybody that's dismissive of any kind of scenario where Florida State gets squeezed out for a one-loss Big Ten team needs to just kind of.
Well, it's just hard to believe that they'd had undefeated. I thought, yes, if their records are the same, then you can start all these game control thing. But the first thing should be wins and losses.
Right.
So if that would be if Alabama would win out and beat a top-ranked Georgia team at the end, an SEC champ. But then everyone's saying you can't have Alabama jump Texas. So if Texas is a one-loss team, the Big 12 champ, if you have those two teams, maybe Florida State would be the odd man out if there was two other undefeated Power Fives.
Correct.
And that's ridiculous. So because Washington would play Oregon, who's ranked high. So you need Louisville to win out if you're Florida State.
Right. The LSU game has been diminished in people's eyes because of the games that they've lost.
Mm-hmm.
I'll point out they've lost games to top 10 teams.
Right.
They've played Florida State, Old Miss, and
Jaden Daniels they made Jaden Daniels look the worst that he has all season.
Yeah.
I would say in that second half.
And I think that's something that no matter how, no matter where LSU finishes the season, when it comes down to it, if Florida State goes undefeated and Alabama wins out with one loss, they do have a common opponent that you can look at LSU.
Right.
It's not like Florida State's
they just need to win out. They're not going to.
And that's the thing, man.
It's a rivalry week. It's Miami week.
Yeah. Nothing matters except the fact that you're playing Miami.
Right. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And people on the outside, aren't going to look at, you lost to an unranked team or you beat an unranked team at home. It doesn't matter. It's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
In fact, even though you're in the ACC championship, if you were to lose these next two games, it's a failure of a season, because there's a lot of people that look at when in a successful season.
For a lot
what
of
you
fans,
do against Miami and Florida first.
For a lot of fans, it will be. My fanhood, like me being a fan, the fan side of me said before the season, like you lose to Miami and it's a failed season. And that I still feel that way.
Obviously, that's
Florida is whatever. You're playing in Gainesville, and that but Miami's coming here. Their roster isn't better than yours. And I said before the season, if both rosters are healthy and the same going into. Oh, we got some speculation coming up.
We're speculating right now.
Oh, okay.
It's going to happen.
Well,
to a playoff that hasn't happened, going undefeated,
yeah,
or getting jumped by one less team that hasn't happened yet. We're just getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah,
man.
that's that's getting ahead of ourselves. Like we said, we got to focus on Miami, man.
Yeah. Well, I saw that Johnny Wilson was back at practice. That's great news because Keon Coleman, I think, is the better draft prospect, I guess. But when it comes to Jordan Travis and that chemistry, he
Yeah.
doesn't get better than Johnny Wilson.
Right. And I'll point to one play specifically from the Pitt game where it would have been nice to have Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell running across the field on a crossing route. Big time Noel even pointed it out as the play happened, and there was an incompletion that he missed it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a touchdown. Bell just wasn't quite fast enough to get to the ball. It was wide open. I think Johnny Wilson right there, that's been what he's been used as, is kind of clearing that middle of the field. And yeah, you're missing him. There's points being left on the board, drives that are stalling out because he's not out there, I think. And you want to have Keon Coleman back. That's your big NFL, your big play downfield threat. But Johnny Wilson is easily 1B right there.
I I really think he's the go-to guy, like the comfort blanket for Jordan Travis.
Yeah, and
because he's been there long.
Yeah, and he's got the most experience with Travis. So it makes sense. It just, I think you're right. I think for Florida State to ultimately run the table and do what we hope they do, they're gonna have to have both Coleman and Wilson.
Then I heard someone else bring it up on Danny Cannell's show, the same thing we just talked about. I think they're just trolling Danny, but
no, it's definitely.
If you start thinking about it,
it's the people that view
Alabama looks really good right now,
right?
And if they were to win and beat Georgia in the SEC championship, the number one team being the SEC champion, it's hard to imagine them being on the outside looking in and having getting jumped by the Big 12 champ. So it's almost like, well, you have to put them both in,
right?
But no,
right. Well,
because then you couldn't have Alabama being the 4 seed if Florida, and having them jump Texas because they have the head to head.
Again, there's always going to be ways to break it down.
What are you looking at, resume or who's the best team at the time?
For me, I'm with you. Is if you're going to start comparing resumes to teams with different records,
right?
Then it becomes a sneaky line. Where do you stop? Where do you stop?
Well, they kind of brought up the BCS formula, but they kind of mocked it. But what they didn't talk about is how it was used back in the day. It was used for only 2 teams.
Yeah.
So if you just used it for being more inclusive, I think you got to give it. I think it might work. It's a machine. Maybe it takes out.
I'm fairly certain that
I know if I was on that committee, I would want to know what those rankings would be, just to know as a reference. Wouldn't you? Sure. I bet they do.
I'm pretty sure they still reference them.
Because especially next year when you get to 12 teams. But this is the last season. It's 4 teams. 10 years ago, Florida State made it to the national championship in the last BCS, the last crystal ball. They made it there. Maybe they can, hopefully if you're an FSU fan, get to the playoff. You need to win 4 games.
Yeah, you need to win 4 games. You need to continue to have a few lucky breaks along the way. It's hard to go undefeated, man. Again, regular season, they've done it, three times in the history of the program. Won a title only twice.
Rivalry games.
Yeah.
That's just not. Nothing more than Miami or Florida want to do is to ruin this season.
Yeah, well, ruin your national title hopes. You can't ruin your ACC title hopes. You want to ruin Florida State's shot at getting in the playoff, and losing to either one of them would do that. If you lose at this point in the season, you're pretty much cooked.
Yeah,
as far as playoff goes.
Well, Florida State has no room for error when it comes to losing a game. We knew that, though. They're taking on Miami this week. It's 14.5, 50 over.
Way too high.
So yeah, I take it you're taking Miami to win. I mean, win the money, win the spread.
Yeah, I mean, I
keep it close.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see this game being close, and then Florida State getting that in the second half.
Maybe.
But
I just, I was traumatized as a child by this game going on in Doak Campbell. Like this was one of my worst sports experiences when I was growing up.
Yeah, but this is not your childhood's Miami.
I know. But
that was one of the best teams in college football history.
There's two of the best teams.
Yeah, two of the best teams.
And the thing I don't know about Miami is, which Tyler Van Dyke is gonna come into Doak Campbell. I'm not totally convinced that like half the time he's going out there and just doesn't give a shit. Like that's his body language. But he's a kid that if you get him on the road and pissed off, maybe he starts doing what he did against Texas A&M, where he looked like a kid that was going to work his way into the first round as a QB pick, coming up. Like he balled out against Jimbo. They don't win that game if he's not playing quarterback.
Right. Well, they have talent. They have talent at the receiver position. Colby Young, Restrepo, George.
Restrepo. I mean, that's kind of been a knock, is that he goes to Restrepo a little bit, I think. But yeah, they definitely have talent at wide receiver. They got good running backs. Their offensive line is big. It moves people around.
Right. They struggled last week, but
yeah,
Pitt struggled the week before playing Florida State. You're going to see
the struggle.
People are going to rally the troops when they play Florida State.
Yeah.
Especially Miami. If there was ever a time, this is going to be the time that they bring the effort. Now we'll see if they're not able. They're going to have
number
faults.
One. It's a much better coached defense at Miami. They're just worlds better on that side of the ball than they were last year. And they have a player in Ruben Bain that brings that powerful explosiveness on the front line, which is, it's something to deal with. And really their struggles last week, you can point to really just Van Dyke, just the quarterback play as being why they could not get it done on the road. So I think 14 is too high for this, just being a rivalry game, just being Miami. I think, they're going to come in and do what Mario likes to do, which is try to control the ball, control the line of scrimmage, run. So I don't know. I think it's a little too high. I like Miami cover. I'm calling it a toss-up, man. I mean, the pessimism in me.
I think FSU covers, actually.
Well, there you go.
I mean, this is definitely pessimism for you. I mean, you're just a scared little kid, man, when it comes to this.
Yeah, when it comes to playing them, I harken back to all the weird, Corey Sawyer trying to field the punt in 92, and all you got to do is just let it bounce, man.
No. I think initially Miami will come out and keep it competitive, but I think Florida State wins by about 17. And we'll give you a score later in the week. We're going to preview this game, but we got games to pick, and it starts Thursday night.
Sneaky big one here,
man. Matchup. Yeah, I know. Well, Louisville controls their destiny to go to Charlotte. And if they can we talked about Louisville yesterday with Chris Cotter. He was raving about how them being a complete team, them being the only shot to challenge Florida State. I agree. We've seen the vulnerabilities of North Carolina, Miami, and other contenders. Louisville can run the football, and they have pass rushers on the defensive side. They are getting 20.5, so it looks like Vegas is starting to respect the Cardinals too. Who you got?
I got Louisville. I think they cover. Virginia, I just don't think they have enough experience to be able to make it a trap game for Louisville. It's also at home, so that's going to help. Now, the game next week that they have against Miami down in Hard Rock Stadium, that may be the trap game, the quote unquote trap game. And then
for Louisville.
Yeah, for Louisville.
They're picking this week.
Yeah, I mean, I got them covering.
So you got
I got Louisville big over Virginia.
All right. Here comes Virginia. Give me Virginia to cover the spread.
Cover the spread.
Yep.
All right.
They're going to have, if not, they got to put some points up early. They can't fall behind early. Louisville can then run the ball and use that pass rush to get you. That's what they're going to want to do.
Yeah.
Force you into one-dimensional things. I don't think Braun has the passing game he wants yet, but this is a guy I think is one of the better play callers in the country, man.
Yeah.
And he's at his alma mater, and they did slip up to Pitt, but we saw last week, you go up there, Narduzzi's going to fight you.
Yeah, and Pitt's got some guys up front. They weren't able to beat them up, with the offensive line like they were most teams this season. I mean, we saw them do it to Notre Dame. We saw them do it to Virginia Tech last week. Like that's how Louisville gets down. They like to beat you up in the run game and kind of take their shots off of that.
Well, all right, let's move to Saturday, and let's go to the ACC. Clemson. Dabo's buying all the stock he can get.
Why wouldn't you? Best 4-loss team in the country.
Well, they're going up against Georgia Tech, who's been playing well. Finally won a game against a non-ranked ACC team last week.
Yeah, those very same Virginia Cavaliers. That's right.
Right. And, will they be able to go? They seem to be play better against the better competition. They're going to Clemson. This is a rivalry game.
Yeah.
These teams are right
old
down the
school
road.
rivalry. Yeah.
The spread, Clemson, is minus 14.
That's a bit high for me. I think
Keys.
I think Brent Keys. Yeah. I think the car keys, man. I think he covers.
Brent Keys.
I don't think they win. I wouldn't be shocked, but it's at Clemson. It's another noon game, so but I think they cover. I think that's pretty high for an offense that still isn't really that explosive.
I'm taking Georgia Tech to cover as well. Then it's the big noon game, Michigan, all the controversy. Connor Stalions, the Navy SEAL, had a 600-page manifesto on how he was going to run or cheat without anybody finding out. Is that right?
That's right. Also had apparently what just came out a day yesterday, actually, had an LLC with an assistant coach and apparently Blake Corum, the starting running back for Michigan.
Wow.
Though Corum has denied any knowledge of that.
Right.
So
because you just need to win.
Well, yeah, and that would
they
be
can vacate all they want.
Yeah, yeah. He's got his attorney handling it.
The committee said that they're gonna just evaluate teams that are eligible for postseason play. So
there you go.
Until anybody makes that, makes an announcement,
they're not going to do anything.
The more that comes out, though, this is a lot.
It is.
When you think about it, if you know any part of the play that's coming, like for instance, you're a defender, you're a pass rusher, right? And they're throwing the ball. Just that. You can give up your run lane, your gap responsibility, and totally have that advantage. And that's enough with these type of athletes. When you give them even that more of an advantage, that takes away the integrity of the game. First of all, you need to punish, and then you need to get the damn speakers in the helmets. Like
I mean, that it would solve the problem immediately. And
I'm gonna miss all the hijinks.
Yeah, all the boards with the weird pictures on them, and the weird, funny colors on the different coaches, and all that. It's gonna be. They'll do something, but it won't be while the season's going on. Right now, all that's going on for Michigan and anybody in the Big Ten is just stall tactics back and forth.
Yeah,
the Big Ten is not going to clip their own nuts, man. Michigan is arguably their best chance to win a national title this year.
Well, I mean, if you get Michigan out, you still have Ohio State. If they can't play in the game, even if Michigan beats them, you just be like, oh, Ohio State can still get the big only losses to Michigan.
Ohio State's been thrown right into the middle of the controversy. It's not just Michigan now.
Right.
There's 3 other schools being accused of it, Ohio State being one of them, Purdue and Rutgers. So it's just going to be ongoing. Like I said, they're not going to really do anything until the season is over, if they do anything at all.
All right. Well, let's move on.
But anyway, Michigan.
Who do you got in this?
Yeah, Michigan's.
It's Michigan's minus 4.5.
Yeah, and you know
on
what?
the road.
I'm gonna actually do something stupid.
No way. You're gonna go.
And
You're
I'm gonna put faith in James
Uh
Franklin
oh.
for the
This could
first
be
time in my
this
life.
could be the unrealized moment for next
It
week.
could be. It could be. I think they can get Michigan. I think they can.
It's at home.
It's at home. Essentially, this is it, dude. If you're James Franklin
Right.
and you lose this game, you have no credibility
So
in that
money line.
conference anymore. Yeah, I think they're gonna win straight up. Give me Penn State by a touchdown.
Wow. Wow. Nope. I'm done. I'm done with James Franklin.
Yeah, I mean
Give me
that's the
Michigan to
smart
win.
pick.
I'm not doing it. Taking Michigan, they'll use this to rally the troops. You know, you can use this to be like, hey, everybody's against us. They're trying to say that you guys aren't good, and they'll use all that to rally the troops.
And they've been using that. They've been using that. But how long does that,
All right. Well, let's move on. So I'm taking Michigan. You're taking Penn State.
That's right.
You're going money line Penn State with a touchdown victory over Michigan. I think Michigan wins by by like 4.
All right, so they don't cover.
Man, they're up by 4. No, you're right. All right, give me Michigan to win by. Let me give you a score here. 33-28. There you go.
Well, all right.
All right, Alabama has been hot.
They have, man, but this is
going to play Stoopsy.
You better watch out now.
Mm-hmm.
Better watch out, dude. People have they've kind of cooled on Stoops again because it's Kentucky. This is kind of what they do. Start off hot, lose a few. But this is perfect, kind of reminding the fan base why you guys adore me and are paying me $10 million just to get you 9 wins a season.
Oh my gosh. You beat Florida and Bama
in the same season.
What?
Yeah.
So you no way.
No, I'm not picking them.
10.5.
Yeah, I think they cover.
Okay.
I think Alabama continues to just be a glorified option running team, with a few long shots down the field, and that's what's working for them, man.
I don't think Kentucky has the offense to do it. No. I think Alabama will adjust, and they will cover, and they will win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Alabama's going to be really annoying
for
the rest of the season.
It really is. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they won. All right. Texas Tech is going to Kansas, the number 19 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Texas Tech's getting 4 on the road. Your boy.
Joey McGuire. No, I got Kansas covering that, man. Jalen Daniels isn't going to play, I think, the rest of the year, starting QB, but the backup Beam is doing just fine. They run the football. They play defense. I think they'll cover that.
I agree. Give me Kansas at home. Let's go to the ACC. Virginia Tech laid an egg last week. Oh, my God, so did I.
This is a big game.
They're going to BC.
For BC.
Yeah, BC's been good.
They have not lost since Florida State beat them. What are they sitting at 6-3 right now?
I got BC in this.
I do too. They got Pitt after this, and then they got, I think, Miami and Virginia to close out the season. There's real shot at 9-3. 8-4. Like that's not such a terrible performance on the road. I know it's still not great, but people thought BC was going to be a 3-win team back when that game happened. So I got BC though. They're going to cover.
Okay.
I think Virginia Tech is beat up. Virginia Tech's favored. Wow.
No.
Yeah. They're not?
No.
All right.
Oh my God, they are.
Yeah, they're favored. They're getting 1.5.
That's crazy.
No, BC wins.
BC, home dog. All right, let's go to NC State. They're going to Wake Forest. And they're getting Wake's getting 2.5.
This is the kind of game.
Dog.
Yeah, this is the kind of game that NC State loses, though.
Yeah.
Coming off a win.
Yep.
Big win at home. Sleepy little 2:00. Is this? Yep. CW game. Curse of the CW. I think Wake wins this.
Wake money line, home dog. Jim's going Wake. Give me the Wolfpack to beat Wake Forest. They're no good. All right. Let's go Arizona and Colorado. Let's pick that because prime.
Oh man.
Yeah, Arizona's number 23.
Yeah, they are.
How about that? And they're going to Colorado to Boulder, and they're favored by 10.5.
And this is the game where something literally has to give. Like, Colorado refuses to run the football for some reason. They demoted the offensive coordinator, promoted Pat Shurmur to play caller. He did nothing but throw the football again. Arizona routinely drops 8. They rely on defense with a defensive front of 3 and everybody else dropping into coverage. It's how they kept Caleb Williams in check in the first half. So something's got to give. I think Arizona beats them. But I'm interested to see if Dion finally finds a way to make his offensive coordinator run the football. I have my doubts, man. Like, there doesn't seem to be any attempt. It seems to be just the Shedeur Sanders show.
Well, they're getting 10. What do you think? Who you got?
I got Arizona covering.
All right.
I don't think Dion's going to win another game.
I agree. I don't know about winning another game, but this is going to be a tough one. Arizona's playing well. I think they handle it. All right, let's do this one. 100-year anniversary of Pitt at Syracuse playing in Yankee Stadium 100 years ago. Chris Cotter will be on the call. This is both teams are struggling, but this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a slugfest. I think it's me an old barn burner, man. It's in the Bronx, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Pitt is favored by 3. Who you got?
I'm going to take Pitt.
I am too.
Syracuse just doesn't have anything.
Yeah. Schrader looks different, man.
He's different. He doesn't have any weapons.
Right.
I'd be shocked if Dino Babers is back next year as Syracuse coach. So there's probably a lot of that, or the ominous feelings that go along with that around the program. Pitt's going to be pissed off after that game.
Yeah.
They're going to feel like, dude, it should have been a lot closer, and we should have been in that game in the fourth quarter. And then, so I think Pitt will win this one.
All right. This one, let's go to Orlando. UCF is hosting a man and the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who are coming off the big win at home against Oklahoma. Yeah, they're going down to you, and they're favored by 2.5.
Oklahoma State, 7-2, sitting at 15th. Got a chance to win out.
It's hard to believe that
the big
with that loss they had.
Lost to South Alabama. Won last week without
got destroyed by South Alabama.
Yeah. Won last week without even throwing a touchdown. I don't know when the last time Mike Gundy's teams have ever done that. I think they'll go down there and boat race UCF. UCF is a team that is just not ready for Big 12 competition. Crazy, man. Oklahoma State really is going to probably win out and finish going to the Big 12 title game.
All right. You got Miami covering over against Florida State, but Florida State win. I got Florida State. You got Miami. I got Florida State covering the spread and winning. All right, let's go to Tennessee, Missouri. Battle of ranked teams at Missouri. Tennessee is favored by 1 on the road.
It kind of surprises me.
Yeah, because I'm going Missouri.
Yeah, I am too.
They actually played Georgia tough.
Oh man,
at Georgia.
Tough interception.
Right. I think they've been developing a nice home atmosphere there in Missouri. I think
they got a superstar.
I like what he's doing.
A legitimate superstar in Luther Burden.
Yep. I'm taking Missouri to win.
Yeah, same.
All right, Utah.
The big one.
Yep, at Washington. Washington's favored by 9.5. Undefeated. They beat USC in a shootout last week. Utah's coming in.
What did the running back had 250 some yards last week? Dylan Johnson, high school teammate of Trey Benson.
Wow, that's a lethal combo right there.
Yeah,
Goodness
right.
Gracious.
How does that get out of the state of Mississippi?
Oh man, I don't know. But let's see who you got in this.
You know what? I'm gonna pick the Utes.
Give me Washington
pulling the upset.
Wow.
I don't
winning the game?
Winning the game.
Wow.
I don't know why. I just, they went and they played Oregon and they got just destroyed.
Mhm.
I have a hard time
That's
seeing.
going to happen again.
Yeah, I just I don't see that happening to a Mountain Man
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham team.
All right. Upset.
I
Here,
think
Jimmy
that-
Reno
yeah,
with the
I'm gonna
out
go ahead and
money
pick the
line
upset,
on the
man.
road at Washington. Utah gets the upset. Not me. I'm thinking Washington's going to win this by 2 touchdowns.
Think they
Okay.
cover. You think this is
Yeah.
this is another step for Penix towards the Heisman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to come down. It's almost looking like it's going to come down to that Pac-12 championship for a shot at the playoff
and
a
a
Heisman.
Heisman.
What a
Yeah.
game that's going to be.
Yeah, Bo Nix is just a stat machine right now.
Okay. Let's go to Georgia. Big game. Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Number 10
This
going into Georgia. Ole Miss is getting 11.
this might be the best chance for the SEC title game that anybody's got at Georgia. I just don't see Ole Miss being able to do it.
Mhm.
I see it going a lot like it did when they went and played Alabama
Yeah.
and just kind of being shut down offensively.
So you got Georgia covering?
Yeah, I do. I think they run the football, and that's, Ole Miss isn't any kind of dominant defense. I mean, they're okay, but nothing that's just going to stifle Georgia
agree.
for 4 quarters.
I don't think that they're going to be able to do it. Georgia's going to be able to cover this game. They're going to outlast them with depth in the second half and get up and win by 2 touchdowns. All right. Let's go Florida. Gators are reeling, and they're going to be on the road going to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it's a tough time to be
Both
searching
teams
for
coming
answers.
off losses.
Yeah.
LSU's ranked 18th, and Florida's getting 13.5 on the road. Who you got?
I'm going to have LSU covering this game. Even if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, I think Nussmeier is good enough to throw over top of that defense. And I'm not sure that I know that LSU is very soft on defense.
Yeah.
But you're playing in Baton Rouge. It's night. That's a really tough place to win at night.
Yeah.
Even with a defense that isn't as nasty as it has been in years past, they'll put points on the board. I think Florida just kind of, falls off in the end there. That one. I like LSU covering.
All right. Let's do Duke and North Carolina.
Big one, man.
It
looked like it was going to be a lot bigger
right.
a few weeks ago.
Duke's getting 14.5 on the road. Wow. That shocks me.
Yeah, it
Duke's
does.
really falling off.
Yeah. I don't know if Riley Leonard's going to play. That could be, I think, questionable at best. That could have something to do with it. But I think you're right, man. I think you're seeing the depth issues start to show their head at Duke.
So you got North Carolina winning big?
Yeah, I think they'll cover.
Not me. I'm taking Duke to cover.
At the Dukies.
Yeah. Not to win, though. They're going to keep it close.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Elko does have a defense.
All right, one more. USC at Oregon. Oregon's getting USC, my bad, is getting 15. Who you got?
They fired Alex Grinch.
Yeah, I know.
I'm interested to see if it was Grinch or if it's just like,
we'll find out.
If it's the philosophy of Lincoln Riley.
They're on the road.
On the
15
road.
points. Do they cover?
I think Oregon covers, man. I don't see anything from that.
I'm taking USC. I think the new defense might be able to fire them up a little bit to keep it close. I think Oregon wins by 10.
That'd be a big indictment if they can keep it close. I don't know. I'm really interested to see if Lincoln Riley's whole philosophy of just get me 1 or 2 stops a game is why they look like crap on defense every week. That you talk about a team that needs a win.
We got to get on out of here.
USC needs a win. That team is reeling. Like we're reaching the territory of Caleb Williams is just going to stop playing.
Yeah,
he's going to shut it down.
Usually start doing that for the bowl games, but
yeah, but again, I don't know. I don't know, man. That team's really seen the wheels start to rattle off that butt.
Yep. Well, I got a wedding to go to this weekend. How about who does that?
Right.
I love them. They're great people. I guarantee the wedding will be on.
Yeah. Well, I'll be in Tampa watching it with Junior.
Football game will be on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great game, though. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It always is. I know Doak will be rocking.
Oh yeah, there's going to be an upward of
Damn,
100, 150 different recruits.
Yeah.
Pretty much every big recruit in the
Yeah.
Southeast is going to be at the game.
That's right. It's going to be a big game.
Yeah,
For a recruiting battle.
yeah.
We're going to have an update on that coming up next week. FAMU's number 9 in the FCS.
FCS. They're going to keep climbing, man. I don't think you'll see them win these next 2 weeks. And how high can they get?
How high can they get? But it doesn't matter. They're not going to be in the playoff because they're playing the Celebration Bowl. I don't understand it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm gonna make a statement. I think, and I'll say this about Jackson State last year when Deion was there, the coach. I think you would have seen them make a run, and I think this FAMU team would make a run in the FCS playoffs.
No doubt.
But
I agree. You gotta switch that up.
They do. Right now, it'll just be head movies. Someday, maybe.
Doesn't make any daggum sense.
It doesn't, but there's a lot about sports and just society in general that still have some growing up to do, man. But I'm proud of Coach Simmons out there, man. Number 9 in the FCS. Like that's putting up big time.
And they could have beat USF.
Yeah.
They
I
just,
think that
a couple mistakes. They were in that game.
And
they were in that game physically.
USF has a nasty defense.
Yeah,
they do.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. We got NFL picks tomorrow. The battle for the Latin Jug continues. And then we're going to preview Miami and Florida later in the week. So thank you for listening. Download and subscribe to get your podcast. And we'll talk to you next time right here on the North Florida Sports Network.
Let's go. Our ride is here. We got a shuttle